Hey there, continuing here with chapter 2 items, moving right along to assignment 2.2 and making some sense of really the nitty-gritty, sometimes hardly ever used points of notation, and the pitch world, distances such as half and whole steps, things like double accidentals, double flat, double sharp, as you see here right off the bat in assignment 2.2, and this word that they use to talk about something that sounds the same but is spelled different, and that is the word enharmonic. So it's a little bit like they say in the book, how you can have words that are homonyms. Is that what they're called? Say the word there and there, for that matter, the contraction there. They all sound the same, but they mean something a little bit different. In the musical world, although I can spell this as two different things, G flat and F sharp, they can mean something different. As a matter of fact, on an instrument that you change the pitch of when you play the note, or can't change the pitch, like a fretless instrument or your voice, not, for instance, a piano per se, although you tune a piano. Once you have it in tune, you pretty much are playing that black key between F and G, and you only have one way of making it sound. It can actually sound a little bit different on instruments where you can affect the pitch as you play it. More about that later. And the important thing is to know that for black keys, it's necessarily true that there's not one way to spell them. If we just go over here, and we see what they're talking about between a G flat and F sharp. It's true, but you can also rename the white keys too. So, what are a few of these that you can name this a D sharp, or you can rename it an E flat. That's pretty easy to see if I just look over here. That'd be that black key right there, right? Or that black key right there, and it's easily, I think, to all of us, known as E flat as well. So I'd say, well, the way I see it as it's written is D sharp, and then the enharmonic equivalent is the way it's put a lot of the time, is going to be E flat. And there's even more than one enharmonic equivalent, but this is the most common. A first line of treble clef is the E, the every good bird does fly E. Right? So I'm going to put that there. But what's a way that I can rename this E? And it's totally not very common, right? If this is an E, I can see that very next to it, in fact, a half step away, is the F. So it's probably likely an F flat. And you will need to spell it as F flat sometimes. And that is, what does that mean? That means F made to be lower by 1/2 step. So this thing right here, where F would be next to it, we'll call that F flat as well. Here's another white key that we can rename. We know it typically as G, and here's a bigger problem. G doesn't have a white key right next to it. It has either a black key or black key. It has its white keys that are next to it are 2/2 steps away, not just one. So this could be something like an A made to be flat twice. So A double flat, and this is the symbol for a double flat. The other thing it could be is coming from the other side of G, which is your F, made to be a 1/2 step taller twice. Alright, so F sharped twice, or raised twice. So I could write two sharps next to one another. That's an acceptable way to use an F sharp, but the more common way is to use the special double sharp symbol. Don't ask me why there is not a special double flat symbol, but this is the way you hand draw a double sharp. You can see, where do we have a double sharp? On the page here. There it is right there. It actually looks kind of like it's got little squares at the ends of the X's. It means raised twice. And these respelled white keys are really uncommon, but it's important to know how to do them. if you can understand the uncommon spelled ones, then when you get to dealing with the common spelled ones, you're going to be just fine. Let's move right along here to another part of this worksheet. The bottom of the page, notate and harmonic equivalent for each pitch below. And this is kind of a more common way to do it. What's another way to spell G double flat? Well, it's crying out to be F. Right? If you take G and you lower it twice, then you're going to get F. Pull this PDF and move it so I have notes on my keyboard over there. What is another way to spell B sharp? Well, here's a B. That thing is a half step above B. So, yeah, some of the time it's B sharp, but a lot more of the time it's going to be draw just like that. Go here, select a pen, and I just draw our regular C like this. And we know it is C natural, so you don't need to put the natural next to it. If you do, it's fine. More about the sense of that later. There's a black key of C sharp, commonly known also as a D flat. Remember, we say D flat, we put the modifier to the left of the note head. It's a little bit like in the English language where we have modifier, then noun, like blue lake. This is flatted D. Even though we say it's a D flat. It's a good system where we have the modifier to the left of it because we read music left to right. It's good to know about the modifier as soon as possible as we're reading left to right. Let's erase here and let's go to the next part of 2.2, which asks you to think about the distance between pitches as they're notated here. And you're going to relate this to probably the keyboard or fretboard. And all these moves here that I'm pointing here, between this white and this white, that's a half step. Between this white and this black, it's a half step. Between this black and this white, it's a half step. So if you just go to the back of the key bed and you move one move, that's called a half step. When you move two moves along the continuum of black and white keys, you've moved a whole step. So we use the W for whole step, and they offer us as a possibility as well, either. So something that's either 0 half steps total when you move on the keyboard, or 3 or more are going to be neither the 1 half step or the whole step, which is 2 half steps moved. G sharp to A, they're showing us is a half step, or they're telling us it's a half step. But how do you verify that? Go to where G sharp is and A, and you can see at that point that you've got a half step on your hands, because what you've got is, go back over here, by the way, I'm still at it. Now, bring back pen. So G sharp to A is 1 half step, like that. Let's do a couple more. E flat to F sharp. So that could be something like here, where I'm going E flat to F sharp. How many half steps away is this? And this is now real world math counting. 1, 2, 3. I'd have to say that's neither a half step or a whole step. Something we'll get to later. A flat to B flat, for instance, is the same thing as knowing this note to this note. Try to read through, and let's play it and hear it as a whole step. It's the same thing. It starts the first 2 notes of an A flat major scale. So A flat to B flat is a whole step, or a major second. And then write a whole step above each of these things and make no rule about what you get. This happens to be a white key above a white key. All well and good, right? But there are times when you you might be surprised. It will take a black key to make a whole step above these notes. Now we're talking treble clef, so we identify the note as an E flat, and you can see that it is not in the 4th octave, it's in the 5th octave because that's C5. A little bit less important probably is the octave number than the pitch correctly. Whole step above that, so if I know I'm here for an E flat, and I go 1 half step, 2 half step, I know I'm talking about this thing, and I can notate it just as regular old F. Didn't change the octave, I'm only going a step above, switching to another C, so that's going to be F5. What about C sharp? If I'm here, I want to go a whole step above a C sharp, I know I'm going here. Now, that could be E flat, which would look kind of funky if you ask me. E flat 5, these are all in the 5 octave, by the way. Put the C sharp name here. So, although E flat works, usually in diatonic scales we see one kind of accidental. So, let's put that in parenthesis, and let's say this is probably D sharp for this to be a whole step and usually spelled the correct way. And you make that D sharp, these are all 5s, octave 5s. Whole steps below notes are done this way. Have a look at what's in the chapter, look at the try it and the apply it sections. You have answer keys if you've bought the book. So you bought the book soon and manage, what is it, like $55 for it. At least in this incarnation, of course, as I make this video, that's true. Alright, I got 3 minutes left. Half steps are similar. There are some naturally occurring half steps like E to F on a keyboard, and you can see that that would be one of them. How about if you get to an F sharp? What's a half step below F sharp? It's this white key right here. What is that commonly known as? Probably commonly known as G, bass clef. Oops, I just thought this was in the treble clef. So forget any of that then, and let's take our time. In bass clef, that's going to be an A sharp. So right there, what octave is it? If middle C is C4, that means the C below it is C3. It's just below that, it's in the 2 octave. So a half step above this given note puts me there. Now that could be A double sharp, or it could also be B. It could also be C flat. You have really 3 somewhat common possibilities there. Let's go to the next part of the next worksheet. I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and I see right over here my worksheet 2.3. So organized. It is a busy desktop. Apologies for this being a little bit more work. Again, whole and half steps are neither. You identify what you see there. You see here that we've got an E flat to an F. Yeah, that indeed is a whole step. So that's one. Go over there. That's what I need you to do like that. Pen back. Real pen activity. Alright, so E flat to F. We can see that that's something like that to that. We have here B to C, so that'd be that. How many half steps is it? It's just 1, so you write a half. If it were 2, you'd write a W. If it were some other number, you'd write neither. Moving right along to the bottom of this page, you can see that you're identifying whole and half steps in the melody. and the little John Philip Sousa. We have